Okay, so as I said before, I'm Jolene, but please call me Jo. When I get called Jolene, I think I'm in trouble. I come from this amazing part of the world. This is my most famous, beautiful, popular, no it's not, but to me it is. It's the most special place I've ever worked. It's Girrawheen National Park, which is in Stanthorpe, southern Queensland. I have worked out of this park for 25 years. Started when I was 10, if you're doing the calculations in your head. Yeah, I kind of like the place. It's, anyway, I'm not talking about the park. So I've worked with Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service for 26 years. And I now work in a small team of 4 in, it's called the Southwest Region. It covers 3 million hectares. We have 67 national parks, 177 state forests. It's 1,100 kilometres to drive from east to west, so lots of driving because there's no airports in between. But I work in some pretty magic parks, and it's all about protecting those cultural and natural values. Wombats are my favourite. I mainly work on visitor management projects. I love working with people, even though this sort of thing scares the crap out of me. I'm actually really enjoying this. And I hope to meet a lot of you throughout the couple of days. Love working with the different groups. I love working with our First Nations people. I love the kids. And I love that I can be a little bit creative within my job. But I'm still a ranger. Well, I shouldn't say just a ranger. I'm a jack and Jill of all trades, master of none. You know, I do get to get out there and dabble with wildlife. I am a firefighter, incident controller. Yeah, working with First Nations, as I said. You know, often cleaning a dunny, you know. there's so much in our roles, and that's why we love our roles, don't we, as rangers? They're so diverse, and it's never a day that's boring, really. And in fact, there's never a day that I don't go home and appreciate the job I have. You know, I actually do enjoy my job and love the people I work with, and I hope that, you know, I am making a difference. So, the name of my presentation is actually Why Are We Having This Oceania Ranger Forum? Well, I did dabble in it before in my introduction, but I am going to give you a little bit more specifics about, you know, what we've all got you here for. But before I get into that, I need to explain some terminology that you will hear over the next couple of days. We have ranger associations, all right? So there are some people that are obviously familiar with those because you've been sponsored by your ranger associations. But there's obviously some of you that just may not know what this means. And I want to use an analogy. It's your whānau, your family. Think of your close brothers and sisters, the ones that you have a lot more in common with. You know, you've got similar values, you do things similar, you might live, you know, in similar sort of spaces. They're your ranger associations where you have close contact. You might sort of see them, you know, often, every couple of times a year, so on. And we have ranger associations throughout Oceania that have fully been around for 25 to 35 years. There's some that have been forever, and there's some that have only just been developed in the last couple of years. New Zealand actually does have a ranger association. Rodney and Kit and Bill have been working on a plan, and that's why tomorrow there will be a meeting for anyone who would like to hear more about the rangers of Aotearoa, New Zealand. At the moment, it's developing, so it's known as a provisional member of the IRF. When you're a full, you know, you have a constitution and you have an executive, when you're a full ranger association, you're eligible to be a member of the IRF. Okay, same with the Samoans. Okay, our 3 champions here, they have been working very hard with Callie. I do need to acknowledge Callie as well, because I know the work you've been doing over the years, to develop the Samoan Ranger Association. And it would be really lovely if that could happen soon. So the next level is Cora. Okay, how does that fit? What's that name mean? Well, think of your cousins, your cousins, right? Your aunties and your uncles, who you may only get to see maybe once a year, right? So that's your region, that's Oceania region. And we fall, well, obviously there's all the different regions around the world, we fall within Oceania. And I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't have a chance to get rid of that logo. So Cora, this is us. So we're a collective group of ranger associations. At this stage, we're not a formal collective, but that's going to be discussed in tomorrow night's meeting about whether we formalise CORA and actually be the official IRF representative body for IRF. And of course then we have the IRF, which is the overriding sort of organisation, that the motherhood, what could be your distant relatives, okay, that you may only see every time, maybe once every 3 years, okay? Does that make sense? Does that clarify how all that fits in? Okay, cool. Okay, what are you doing? Anyway, enough about other business, back to me. No, I know it does seem like it's a bit of an episode of This Is Your Life, but I am getting somewhere. I am answering that question about why we're having this forum. So in my case, I love being a ranger, of course, but even more, I love helping rangers. Okay, I love those that are protecting nature. And so there was an opportunity about 8 years ago, I think, to join our Queensland Ranger Association as in the executive. So I put my hand up, was in the vice president or vice chair role for a couple, and then eventually got roped into being president. Karina, where are you? Where's Karina? Because he's taken over from me, which is kind of cool because I was actually the first female president to take on after 25 years that QRA had been around. And then Cosy took over the reins from me, and she's the youngest one that's ever been. But we've also got Mike. Mike is in the house. He's one of our founding presidents. Am I going to call you that? He's like really old. He's really old. But anyway, so what I'm getting at is when I joined up with the QRA, there was this opportunity to, yes, definitely, with our motto, Rangers Helping Rangers, it was about looking after our own Queensland Rangers. But there was also the opportunity to look at that wider community and see where we could be helping others. And 3 hours across the ocean, we had this opportunity to help the Solomon Island Rangers establish their Ranger Association. And yeah, the QRA committed that for the next 3 years, they, through an IRF twinning agreement, would help the Solomon Island Ranger Association further develop within their Ranger Association, as well as building their capacity as rangers. Now, when I use that term rangers, they don't get paid. They are basically people from the communities who are standing up and trying to protect their resources and communities as best as they can. Okay, they identify themselves as rangers, which is cool. So, if we could then go back and share skills, which is what we made the offer of, with our twinning agreement, they were absolutely stoked. They took the opportunity. And what we did is we actually helped them apply for funds through the Thin Green Line Foundation, thank you very much, and establish a Rangers Training Rangers package. It wasn't us going over there telling them how they should be managing their lands. It was us saying, we're rangers, we've got some basic skills we could share if you want. And they said, yes, please, we want this, 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 and this. So if anyone's interested, I do have the package that you can have a look at. It just goes into those everyday basic skills that we use: communication skills, project management, basic maintenance of your equipment, even how to diffuse an aggressive situation. Because actually the first thing that they asked for was self-defense, which we went, yeah, no. But we can help you with your communication skills to diffuse the situation. And we did a lot of role playing. It was very humorous because they love acting, and there was, lots of butcher's paper. There was no PowerPoints. It was just really hands-on, and it was such a cool thing. And that was actually part of an initiative that we developed within the QRA. It had been brewing over the years, but we kind of defined it, and it's our Developing Nations Fund. So every year, a certain amount of money is set aside to help other ranger associations, or help those that need it. The other fund that we have is the Ranger Development Fund, where we ask members to put their hand up for some funding to do different projects. And there was a ranger who came up with a ranger exchange between a dock ranger or two and some Queensland Rangers. So we've got Karina in here, and we do not have Aubrey, but and Emma, do you guys know Emma? Anybody? Emma was the other dock ranger. They came across to Queensland they went around, they went croc hunting, they did all sorts of cool stuff all the way around Queensland. And Karina and Sean came across to Nelson Lakes and hung out with the dock crew. I don't know why we don't do this more often. Within our states, our countries, it's such an easy and cool thing to do. There was just so much, kind of shared in cross-border relations developed. It was a really good thing to do. Another couple, they put up their hand for some funding because they were going on a holiday and to Sumatra, and they wanted to have a bit of a holiday with a difference. So they asked for some funding for some remote cameras to then go over and show the rangers how to set up a remote camera project. And they spent a week with them showing how to do it. They had the whole community involved. They've left them with the cameras and they've got some really cool pickies back, and some great output from that. So that's just some of the things that we've been doing within the QRA, as does the other ranger associations that have the capacity around Oceania. Peter is in the house. Peter and Di, they went over to Timor-Leste, and they've been over the years encouraging them to form a ranger association. The Tasmanian Rangers I'm not going to spoil Brendan's thunder because he's going to talk about it tomorrow, but they've also further developed that and been trying to get the Timor-Leste Rangers to come on board. What else? We've got Kelly and the Samoan crew. There's also, back before we all went off to Nepal World Ranger Congress 2019, a stack of girls all over Australia raised a stack of funding to help Oceania Rangers. So that was, girls going green. We got to dye our hair green. I didn't, I'm too vain. I admit it. But, what else? Yeah, so within our ranger associations, I guess what I'm trying to say, there's so many opportunities, and it's not just about what a ranger association could do for you, it's about the opportunities that you may be able to seek through that ranger association, or what you potentially may be able to give. And there's always funding through ranger associations to go to forums like this, or to go to World Ranger Congresses like this, through being part of those ranger associations. Right, so this brings me to the next part of my life, because we're getting a bit off track, weren't we? So back I was talking about Nepal. There was a stack of us all went off to the World Ranger Congress in Nepal. Actually, put your hand up. How many were in Nepal? Quite a few. That's cool. It was a really proud moment. I showed that photo before, didn't I? But anyway, I took over the reins from Peter at the World Ranger Congress to be the Oceania representative for the International Ranger Federation, which also made me the CORA, so the Council of Oceania Ranger Associations chair. Anyway, all you need to know is, I'm a sucker. But anyway, I became a board member. I'm one of 14. Andy is also on the board. That's right, I've got his circle. That's where we go. Andy is our company secretary. There's myself with a different name, but that's all right. And Mike up the back. Mike is our treasurer for the IRF. We also were going to have Lucy, but she hasn't been able to make it. She's the secretary of the IRF. Now, only 2 of these people out of here receive any funding, receive any funding to help them with the work they do through the IRF, thankfully through the Thin Green Line Foundation. The rest of us are all volunteers. So we just try our hardest, what we can with what we've got. We meet quarterly, and since 2019 have been trying to deal with a bit of change that's gone on. One of the things that happened in 2019 is the IRF became a company, as did the Thin Green Line Foundation. So it's almost kind of like we had to find our own identity, because previous to that we're very closely linked. We still are, we're still partners. We have an MOU with the Thin Green Line, but it was more about what's the IRF about, what's our mission, where are we going for the next couple of years. All of a sudden we've got Australian company law that we're bound by. So there's a bit of governance and structure and things that we kind of need to put into place so that we, as we move forward with what we're doing with the IRF. So there's a bit of change that we've had to sort of get our heads around. But we've stuck with our same mission that we've always had for the last 35 years, and that is to advance, promote the world community, throughout the world community, the ranger profession and its critical role in the protection of natural and cultural values. And when you're in sort of this sort of group, like, you get to see that big picture. You know, just it takes you out of your own world. You might think, you know, I haven't got enough staff, I haven't got enough funding, haven't got, you know, poor me. But then you go and you sort of mingle with these other people around the world and see that potentially we've actually got quite good where we are. And it just puts things in perspective, and that's really cool. It's cool to see. And so that's, I guess, why we do these things, because, yeah, we're part of something big, and that's cool. So with the 2019 new board, when we came over, it was about establishing, well, who are we? You know, the ranger title can be so many different, you know, it's field workers, it's field officers, I don't know, what are you guys? Are you rangers? There's different titles, isn't there? Heritage officers and visitor management, yeah. So that the code of conduct just basically brings everything together, and it sort of outlines, you know, what we want a ranger to look like, so that we are taken seriously as a professional, you know, that professionalism is taken serious. Because what the IRF are then wanting to do is go and advocate for rangers to get that respect, so that we can get the resourcing and get the kudos, I guess, that we need, that we require. So we've got the code of conduct, and it wasn't about just us telling you how we want you to be. It was just an outline of what we are already, but just so that we can use it when we do go and do the avocation that we're doing at the bigger scale. There was a survey that was also done in 2019. It was a global survey of the working conditions of rangers, and the results were pretty sad. You know, you look at 50% of rangers didn't have access, or do not have access to clean drinking water, or 50% don't have access to sufficient adequate equipment. I mean, we know our jobs are risky. You know, even though we're in the lucky countries, there's still an element of risk in everything we do. So to see that there's other countries that have got, you know, inadequate equipment is pretty scary, and as well as the medical insurance and the first aid and emergency training. So, you know, we only have to pretty much look across our ocean and see that potentially, you know, some of these other countries that are still developing are in that situation. So I know we all hate surveys, but please, if you can do them, would be great, because we need to get that bigger picture so that we can then go and advocate for more support and resourcing. And it's about standing by our other rangers. The IRF is going to continue to work on those main sort of important pillars that we have over the last couple of years. So World Ranger Day, we stand side by side with the Thin Green Line Foundation and promote this day as our day. Do you all know about World Ranger Day? I know that there's, yeah, cool. So 31st of July, celebrated to commemorate rangers that have lost their lives in the line of duty, but also to celebrate the cool stuff we do in our day jobs, pretty much. We also have the Roll of Honour we come up with. This was this year's Roll of Honour. Thankfully we didn't have any for Oceania, but we have done in the last decade. And so, you know, it's just, we need to honour those people, because they've put their lives, oh, I'm fumbling with my words, aren't I? Anyway, you get what I'm talking about. The other thing that the IRF is, okay, thank you, that's good. The other thing that's very important to the IRF is the World Ranger Congresses. They're basically about bringing rangers together like this, from all over the world, giving the opportunity to, you know, learn new skills, knowledge, and make those beautiful relationships. We've had 9 to date. The last one was in Nepal, as I said. 2003 was the last one we had in the Oceania region. So they're probably going to come looking, which is why we are actually going to have a conversation tomorrow night in our Cora meeting about whether it is something we would be interested in talking about, thinking about, because obviously a lot of preparation needs to go into developing a World Ranger Congress. So What I can say, I know you're probably aware of the Azores World Ranger Congress. I kind of, we will have a conversation about that tomorrow night in the Cora meeting, because it's something that we need to probably address. But what I can say is we have got a process out at the moment where we are seeking an alternative place for the 10th IRF World Ranger Congress. Okay, and we hope to have that decision in the next, well, soon, yeah, more in the space. Now, out of the World Ranger Congresses is a declaration of sorts. So back in Nepal, it was known as the Chitwan Declaration, where we had over 550 rangers attend from 70 countries, and everyone agreed on the Chitwan Declaration. It addressed ranger welfare, equality issues, relationships with communities, capacity building, technology as well. And it was all put into an action plan, okay? And URSA came about. Now, I know I'm giving you all these acronyms, but URSA is basically an alliance. It's the Universal Rangers Support Alliance, and it's 8 different organisations. It includes WWF. We've got, what do we say? There's Pantheria Wild, there's IRF, obviously. There's a stack of them. And if you ever want this document, there is I've got a reference to it I can give you. Just come find me. And basically, this document outlines the actions that are needed to action the things that came out of the Chitwan Declaration. And it's only meant to be for the next couple of years. 2025, URSA will dismantle, with hope that IRF will just continue on with actioning those outcomes. All right, so URSA's it's basically just a temporary measure just to get this action plan happening. All right, Cora, sorry, I will hurry because I'm running out of time. Oh, I'm getting the bell, am I? All right, so this is us at this stage, but this was us at Nepal. Just as I said, we're all from different backgrounds, different ranger associations, nothing official, just a group of people who, want to just sort of share some common topics and come up with some cool initiatives. When I came back from the World Ranger Congress, I was trying to get my head around what my role was as the Oceania representative and the core chair and all of this. So we came up with a strategy. It was as simple as that. We just identified, well, what are we going to do for the next couple of years? And we came up with really nice 3 easy mission statements or actions, whatever you want to call them. So the first one being to build strong, mutually beneficial relationships between Oceania Ranger associations. Things like this, just hang out with your friends. We do meet quarterly, we meet quarterly online, and we try and meet annually each year. And that had been done before in Pete's time. This was just something we've continued to do. And of course, the Ranger associations themselves do their own meetings of sorts. So in Queensland, we have a muster. What is South Australia? They have a migration, is it?
Annual migration.
Annual migration. Tassie has what's a Tassie's?
Ranger Roundup.
Roundup, yep. It's all these different, it's just an excuse to have a get together, really, isn't it? Our second goal was to assist Ranger associations from Oceania countries to develop and build their capacity within their countries and their communities. All right, so that's, like the work we were doing with the Solomon Islanders, like the work Kelly's been doing with the Samoans, and like the work that Pete, Di, and the Tassies have been doing with the Timor-Leste Rangers. It's just, encouraging them to build their Ranger association, but more so just building on their capacity to help do their Ranger jobs and duties a whole lot better. And that's the Tassie Rangers. I'm not going to blow Brendan's thunder. We're going to hear about all that tomorrow. The other one, the other little champion I want to mention again is Amanda. She's actually, I don't know if you have met Amanda. Stand up. Where are you? There you go.
Thanks, Jo.
Amanda is actually walking the thin green line. She is walking, she's not really walking, but she's travelling around Oceania. She's taken a year out of her life, and she is travelling around Oceania, raising awareness of what Rangers do, and also raising funds for less fortunate Oceania Rangers. So, kudos to you, girl. And our last goal is to develop and grow our partnerships and key stakeholder relationships outside of Cora. So, guess what? That's what we're doing. And this is the reason why we're having our Oceania Ranger Forum. It's for those three main goals. It's to build on our ranger associations, to build on our Ranger whānau, to try and get Dock and Auckland and Christchurch and Wellington councils on board, and just to join our IRF Ranger family, because there's so much benefits that can come from that. And this is us! Hey, how's that? You're back my selfie stick, didn't ya?
That's cool.
So, thank you very much.